and welcome to season 2 of our homeroom, and welcome to a brand new school year. So, I'm going to start off season 2 with 2 episodes that are going to go into my favorite tips for how to set your children up for success in school. So, we're going to talk about kindergarten through 5th grade today and 6th through 12th grade in my next episode. So, for those of you who don't know, I have been a Central Florida educator for 25 years. I have been a teacher in pretty much every area, every grade level that you can imagine. I mostly taught elementary school, but I also taught middle school. And then I've been an academic coach and a parent coach for the last 4 years for mostly middle and high school students and their families. So I've taught in low-income schools, high-income schools. I've taught in a gifted magnet program, public school, private school. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything. And throughout all of that time, I learned a lot that also helped me be a parent. So luckily, I was 8 years into teaching before I had my son. So I was able to use a lot of those tips to really help me avoid a lot of the issues that I saw parents have as I was a teacher. One of the biggest ones was homework fights. Like, I just vowed to not fight with my son over homework. I just saw it ruining so many afternoons for families, and I really wanted to figure out ways to do that. So luckily, a lot of the strategies that I learned in the classroom to help children be independent, I also could apply to my son at home, and they worked. So, although every child is different, my son is a strong-willed child. He knew what he wanted to get, and he wanted to go after what he wanted, and he wanted power and he wanted control. So, I gave him that power and control really early on. Not every child is like that, and I'm aware of that. However, there is still a fine line between healthy and unhealthy support for our children in school. What I have found over the years is probably the biggest mistake that parents make that I have worked with is they are too over involved in their child's schooling. Yes, there are parents who are under involved as well, but most of it is parents who are too over involved. So, what I want to share with you over these next few episodes is how to have that that fine line in between of really good, healthy support for your child, where they are thriving, they are taking ownership, they have responsibility of their schooling, and you're just there on the side to help support them. You don't have to step in and have stress over homework or stress over their grades or, hound them for all their missing assignments. I want it to be easier for you and your child so that going through school over their whole school career is a lot easier for both of you. So today we're going to talk about our students that are in kindergarten and through 5th grade and kind of how to set them up for having ownership in school. And the next episode, we'll talk about how to then continue to promote independence or start promoting independence for those 6th through 12th graders who maybe need you to start backing off and them to start taking over and how to do that transition. So today we're going to dive into my school success secrets for children in kindergarten through 5th grade. The best way that I have found for parents to set their kindergarten through 5th grade students up for success in school is to gradually give them as much independence as they are willing to take, even if it means they are doing things imperfectly, but giving them as much independence as possible. So you're going to kind of gradually do that starting in kindergarten all the way through 5th grade so that hopefully by the time they get into middle school, they are completely taking over school themselves. So that's kind of the goal. I taught 4th grade for several years, and every 4th grade teacher that I worked with wanted children by that age to pretty much be doing most of school themselves. Yes, they still need a little bit of support, but 4th and 5th grade teachers are all about parents kind of backing off and letting their children take over. So we're going to talk today a little bit about how to do that. How do you navigate making sure your children have enough support, but not too much support to get through school? So remember, my biggest tip for all behavior, for all things regarding our children, is if you and your child are on the same team, It makes everything easier. So even regarding school, you want to look at school as an adventure that your child is going on. It's going to have ups, it's going to have downs, but you are there on the side, rooting them on. You're in this together with them. You're going to solve these issues that come up together. So if you kind of look at school over there and you and your child on one side tackling the adventure of school, it just kind of helps reframe things. It's not you against your child. Your child is new at school. Everything that they're doing from year to year is new. And so what they need from you is to you be on their side to help them figure that out, not to do it for them and not to be upset at them when they do it wrong or incorrectly or have mistakes, but to kind of be there as their ally on the side, helping them get through school together. So keep that in mind, that the more you can be on their team, the more you can be on their same side. One, they'll have that support, but two, the less likely they are then to have to go against you or to resist you because you aren't bossing them. You aren't telling them what to do. You're on the side with them. So that also helps get rid of a lot of that resistance or rebellion that may come up when it comes to school. All right. So to make sure you're gradually giving them independence, you're going to want to give them ownership and support on the side. Here are some tips to do that. The things to keep in mind that might be a little different than what you think you should be doing. But it's really, really important that we want to give them as much ownership as we can. And we pull back and be on the sidelines with them. So the first thing to keep in mind, you want to let go of ownership and control. School is not yours. It is theirs. It is completely theirs. And as much as you may think you understand their school experience, you never will completely because you are not your child going into school every day, dealing with the students in that classroom, the content in that classroom. You're not even in their brain to know how they're understanding and digesting all that information. So as much as we may think we understand our child's experience in school, we don't. So the best you can do is let go of that ownership and control. Let school be theirs completely. Then you can come from this place of curiosity instead of control. Like, oh, wow, you're learning that. That is so cool. And you're kind of that person on the side because it's not yours. And you can be interested and enthusiastic. So number two, you want to be enthusiastic. You want to be interested, but on the sidelines. You're on the sidelines, letting it be theirs, right? You're cheering them on through those mistakes and failures, and you're helping to problem solve those tough issues together. But you aren't the one stepping in as the player in the game. You're not the one doing that school for them. You're letting them do it on the side and you're there as a support. Another thing to keep in mind, not to let their school performance try to meet your needs of perfection, achievement, or appearance, how it looks for everyone else, right? You want to look at grades and their school performance as growth towards their own resiliency in the future. You want to look at the long-term goal, them having perseverance, them learning failure and mistakes early on, especially in elementary school. And I've said this a million times, as an elementary school teacher, elementary school grades do not matter. Are they great indications whether your child needs some kind of extra support, maybe tutoring, if there's some kind of learning disability? Absolutely. But beyond that, their grades don't matter. So elementary school is the perfect time to take those hands off, let them figure it out on their own, and experience those consequences that come when they don't take responsibility for their schooling themselves. You want that to happen in elementary school. So you don't want your need for perfection or good grades or, everybody else to think your kid's doing well in school to get in the way of them learning perseverance, for them learning how to pick themselves back up after failure. So along with that, another thing to keep in mind is to not let things like grades or homework or mistakes get in the way of the relationship between you and your child, because that relationship is the biggest indicator of their success, not their grades, not how many missing assignments they have, not how many mistakes or bad grades they get, right? The biggest indicator for your child's success is the relationship you have, that positive, supportive relationship with your child. That's the biggest indicator of their success. So you don't want grades and homework to become between you. You don't want that to be a fight. So just keep a lookout for that. In fact, when you start to see that negative behavior, that is the first indication that it's time to back off, right? If you're seeing homework struggles, if you're fighting about grades, if you are fighting over some mistakes that they're making, they're having missing assignments, and you guys are fighting about that, that means it's time to let go. I know it seems like the opposite. That means, oh, I need to step in more. I need to help them more. Actually, no. The only way they're going to learn ownership, the only way they're going to learn to take over schoolwork themselves is if they figure that out, feel the negative consequences, and pull themselves back up from that. While you, of course, are on the side helping them through that. But you want them to feel those consequences. Those consequences are usually bad grades. The consequences are already set up in school. You don't even need to provide any. They get the bad grades, which will keep them from doing maybe some of the things they like. Again, every child is different. And we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But if you're starting to feel some negative things, so for instance, if you're feeling resentful, if you're feeling drained, if you're feeling frustrated because you feel like you are doing too much, you are. So then that's a really good signal that it's time to pull back. If you are seeing power struggles, you're seeing fighting or active or passive defiance, it's also your child trying to fight back to say they want more power and control over school. Or if you are seeing the opposite, if you feel like you are overdoing, you're feeling helpless or hopeless, your child seems to be lazy and giving up and not doing anything, and there are all kinds of avoidance seeking behaviors popping up, it's also a sign that it's time to back up and encourage on the side. So how do you go about making sure your child stays on track without you stepping in? And we're going to go over 3 strategies next that will help you make sure you are backing off at appropriate level for your child. Okay, so these are 3 strategies that help give ownership to your child and support them on the side. So your hands are not off completely, but you can start stepping back. And I know every child is different, every grade level is different, so we'll talk a little bit about that after I go over the strategies. So the first one is to use questions. If you can take anything that you're doing that's telling them what to do and turn it into a question instead, it empowers your child to feel capable. It's like, oh, they're asking my opinion. They must think I know. They must believe in me. So it insinuates that you believe in them. It insinuates that you think they're capable. It also gives them power and control to make a choice. Now, you can offer limited choices if they're younger children, for instance, in kindergarten, are going to need more limited choices with these things. Our older children will need more open-ended choices. So let's go into a few examples of how you can use questioning. The biggest area is homework. Really, homework should be completely up to your child. So one question, where or when do they want to do their homework? Let them pick where, let them pick when. Right? Now, you can offer limited choices for your younger child. Do you want to do your homework at the desk or do you want to do it at the dining room table while I'm cooking? You can give them limited choices. But the more you let them choose, the more likely they'll use it. The more likely homework time becomes theirs, not yours that you're managing, but it's theirs completely. Now, another key to all of this too is let them choose wrong sometimes. Let's say they say, well, I want to do homework in the TV room when the TV's on. And you're thinking, well, I don't think that's going to work. Let them try it. And you could say, you know what? Try it. I'm not good at doing homework when the TV's on, but that you might be different. Try it out for a week and see how it goes. So I say this in every episode I have. Everything that you try can always be for a limited time. Okay, let's try sitting there for a week and see how it goes. Let's try doing homework after dinner instead of after school for a week, and let's see how it goes. But give your child as much ownership about when or where they do homework. Another great way to approach, instead of I need you to do your homework, you can say, what's your plan for doing your homework tonight? Let them figure it out. Again, whatever the plan they say, all right, great, try that, see how that works. Another great question is, what will happen if you don't do your homework? You may think you know what happens, but they actually already have consequences set up at school. And so ask them, what's going to happen if you don't do your homework? And then a follow-up, are you okay with that consequence? So if your child's like, I don't want to do homework, don't argue with them. Just say, okay, well, that's fine. If you don't want to do homework, what's going to happen if you don't? Are you okay with the consequence that comes up if you go to school tomorrow without your homework? And if they are okay with it, even if you think, well, long term, they're going to get bad grades, you could say that. You could say, what about your grades long term? Are you worried about that? You may not be able to get into the clubs or the activities you want with low grades. So helping them think it through again on the sidelines, and then let them live with the decision they make. It is not worth fighting with them over it. They're the ones that will experience the consequence. And again, if we're talking about elementary school, those consequences are not life-threatening. They're good. So let them make that choice. Instead of having to, you need to make your lunch, you need to get your backpack, you need to get dressed. What do you need to get ready for school today? So let them choose it, let them pick it. And then really important, if they're stuck on homework and you see them struggling, don't just step in, ask, do you need my help? If you're seeing they're struggling with grades, do you want us to get a tutor for you? How can we help you? So again, using questions insinuates that school is theirs. It insinuates you believe in them, and all of those things help them step into an ownership position with school. Okay, the second strategy is to promote growth. And not only to promote it, but to be okay with the messiness that comes with growth. So remember, they are learning throughout their whole school career. It is always new. Something is always new for them. Either the subject matter, the friends, the teacher style of teaching, the test style, everything, right? So there will be ups and downs in school. That is normal. In fact, I tell parents, you should see bad grades at some point in their school career. That means they're learning. It means they're being pushed. So, and that is okay. There is no reason to get upset at them. Well, but they didn't study for their test. They should have done better. Okay, they learned, right? So then you can just be the parent that's like, oh yeah, you got a bad grade. Why do you think that is? What can you do differently next time? How can do you need our help to do that? But you're trusting that it's theirs and they're going to figure that out themselves. And the earlier you can do that, the better, right? So with your older children, you can also promote growth by discussing their goals with them. What are their goals for school? Do they want all A's? Do they want A's and B's? Because you may want them to get all A's, and that's great, but you can't control your child. It'll just end up being fights. So the best thing is to try to come to an agreement together. So let them share what their goals are in school. Let you share what you'd like to see them do in school, and then come up with a nice agreement together. Okay, so you want A's and B's. I want all A's. How about we'll focus on getting A's in these classes, and maybe these classes, they might be a little more difficult, so I get that those will be B's, okay? So come together and then say, now, what are we going to do if those grades don't happen? If I see you slipping, if I see your grades going down, maybe you're playing video games too much or you're on your phone, what limits can we set up to make sure that you have routines in place to get those grades that you want? And that is how you set boundaries. That is how you set consequences. You set them from this place of, these are the goals you want to make. I want to help support you in those goals, right? And the goal could also be getting to school on time. That could be one of the things that's a challenge for a lot of our kids. So working with them, hey, it's important you get to school on time, or you get these tardies and then this is what happens. How can I help you get to school on time? I don't want to be the one having to yell at you to get up in the morning. What can we do about that? So then allow those consequences, like the bad grades, to come up when they make the wrong choice. That is okay. They will own that mistake. They will own that choice. Then they will own that consequence. And then you don't have to judge them on the side. You can just say, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry you're feeling so terrible. Is there a way I can help you so that that doesn't happen next time? And really, again, be on their side. You're not saying it from a place of, well, I told you so, or, well, yeah, I knew. So how, what do I need to do all these things to help you stay on track? No, you don't need to say that. Just allow those consequences, be that support on the side, and help them problem solve through how to not let that consequence happen again. So growth can be tough for us as parents because we want to see our kids feel happy. We don't want to see them fail, but it is so important for long-term growth that we allow them to fail sometimes, especially in elementary school. Better to do it now than when they're taking high school classes in middle school or college classes in high school. So better to let go as much as you can in elementary school. Okay, the last strategy I have is to be a cheerleader. Again, I've said this a million times, but this is how you support on the side. Imagine yourself like a cheerleader. You're on the sidelines. You're not stepping in for them. You're not playing the game for them because as much as you may know the game, you're not in it. You're not the player. So let them have that. And you're just kind of there on the sidelines. You're taking their work and effort seriously. You're being interested. You're attending school events. You're being enthusiastic. You're being supportive. Cheerleaders are always supportive on that sideline, right? And then you're showing them that you have faith in them. You're telling them that you believe in them, that you've got this, that I'm here for you if you need support. Like I'm here for you, but I'm not going to do it for you, but I can help you figure out how to do it for yourself. You're going to want to give them credit when they do succeed, right? Wow, you did that. You must feel so good about yourself. Even if it's because of something you did to help them, give them the credit. They still did it. They still put forth the effort to make it happen. So give them as much credit as you can when they succeed and when they do something well. Also, to be a cheerleader, let them know that mistakes are okay. You're going to figure them out together and you're going to root them on either way. Cheerleaders root on no matter what the score is. They're continuing to believe in their team and root them on. Maybe break the field up in smaller parts, like, just get a 1st and 10. You got this. We're going to keep going together. But they don't give up and they don't step in and do it for them when they see that they're failing, right? They trust that they're the experts in that game and they let them figure it out. And then it's really important to remember that there are really no results. There are no finals in school. Final exams, grades, they appear to be finals, but they aren't. School is a growth process for all 12 years. So just understand that through that, those results are going to change. But you want to celebrate the effort that they still get up, they show up, they go into school, and how exciting that is that they're putting in more effort when they weren't before, or things like that. So you really want to promote effort. You want to promote how are they feeling about school. If they're starting to feel not so great about school, that's when you know to step in. How can I help? What can we do? What boundaries can we set up, or limits, routines, structures to help make sure you're feeling successful in school? How can I help you with that? Now, because every child is different and every grade level is different, you're going to do this at varying amounts. But the biggest sign, like I said, is when you start to see negative behavior pop up. That means it's time to start stepping back. Oh, it's time to step back a little more. I must be doing too much. Maybe ask them, what is it that I'm doing too much that you would like me to let go of? So work with them, but that negative behavior is a sign that it's time to let go more. With your strong-willed children, with your children who are maybe showing active or passive defiance, with your child who is very headstrong, with those kind of assertive children, you're going to want to use more questions with those children, more choice, more power. Those children want to be seen as capable, and they want the power and control to show you that they are. So those children need more power. However, then you may have children who are more on the lazy, quote unquote, side. They're a little more not caring about school. They're a little more discouraged easily. They're maybe our cautious children, our more sensitive children. Those children may need more encouragement as a cheerleader on this side. They may need your belief in them more. They may need you to break things down for them. So they may need some support, but it's still on the side, okay? So depending on your child, you'll have to decide which is the way to let go the most, okay? But all children thrive in school when their parent is on the sideline and they're rooting them on and letting them have complete ownership of their schooling. I promise, I've seen it a million times when parents are able to back off. It's not too much later that our children start to step into that ownership role. And I say this too all the time. A child cannot believe in themselves without a parent who believes in them first. So using these 3 strategies are a great way to give our kindergarten through 5th grade children a chance to show that they can take over, and then you're just there supporting them on the side. And as always, we end each episode with some things for you to think about, some homework questions for you to take home. Think about in your family, talk it over with your partner if you have a partner. Try to see how you can apply some of these things to your family. So, the first question today to think about is how can your family get on the same team about school? If you're finding that you do have a versus situation happening where you and your child or you and your partner are against your child, then it's time to start thinking about how to get on the same team. And some of that could be by you letting go of control a little bit and saying, I don't want to fight about school anymore. Let's talk about how to make it easier for both of us. What are some problems that you are feeling that we have around school? What are some things you'd like me to do or not do more of so that school is better for you? And then let me share a little bit of the things that I'd like to make school a little bit easier. And then let's come together and come up with some solutions of things we can change so that this school year is a little bit easier. So number 2, where are some areas that you and your child are having negative feelings and behaviors around school? So for instance, if you're seeing problems with homework, you're seeing fights about grades, whatever those areas are, how can you in that area give them a little more ownership and maybe step back and support more on the sidelines? Remember, all of that negative behavior is a clue that it's time to pull back a little bit more. And identify that by just looking at where the negative feelings are popping up, even if they're just your negative feelings. You're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling like burnt out, like you're doing too much. That means it's time to let go. All right. And number 3, what are some of your own fears that you may need to work through so you can let your children have more control over their schooling? It might be your fear of imperfection. It might be your fear of negative feelings regarding making mistakes. It may be your own worries about how others will see you or your child, how the school will view you and your child, which I will say to combat that, let the teacher know that you are going to back off a little more this year or this semester or this quarter, and that means your child may experience some bad grades going through that process, but you're okay with that. You want them to experience the consequence. You're trying to let them have more ownership. If you let the teacher know, I guarantee you she's going to be thrilled to know that you are trying to promote your more independence with your child. So work through whatever fears you have because you don't want your fears to interfere with your child's lesson in perseverance. They've got to work through all those imperfections so that they can figure out how to do it for themselves. Because then if you can get through a 5th grader and they've already got ownership, you're going to be so glad once they get 6th through 12th grade that you do not have to be managing all that for them and they're actually taking it over and thriving all on their own. And I promise you it is possible. I was able to do that with my son. I started off kindergarten pretty much making school his own, and he has taken it all on himself. Again, now he's a very strong-willed person, so I didn't need to offer him a lot. He didn't want help. He didn't want advice, and that's fine. I let him figure it out to the point that he has been reaching out to colleges. He has been figuring all of that out himself. So I promise you it is possible. It's just a little bit messy in between as you figure it out, but you can do it. If you would like help with that process, that is why I am here. So please remember that I offer coaching. It can be virtual, it can be in person if you're in the Orlando, Florida area, but I offer coaching for parents and for families to work through all of these school issues. So if you're feeling stuck and you'd like some one-on-one help, please reach out. You can email me at kristentame@gmail.com. Also, I've got a lot of free content out there. So please follow or subscribe on Apple or YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I've got a lot of free stuff out there for you as well. Also, if you visit my website at kristentame.com, I've got also a lot of resources there you can look into. So while it can be a tricky situation, I am here for you. If you need any kind of help, please reach out. And I hope the beginning of your school year has started off well. I will be back in 2 weeks and I will share secrets for those children who are in 6th through 12th. If you've already feel like you've done too much and now you've got a 6th through 12th grader who's still not taking ownership, I'm going to go over how to start transferring that in there for our older children. All right. Enjoy the next few weeks and I'll see you soon.